now we're going to go to Kent Justice, who has got a roundtable there in the Channel 4 studios to talk about what's going on inside and what does Ronnie Simmons have to say to convince this jury that Corrine Brown is guilty. Kent.
Yeah, thank you, Joy. Joined as we were yesterday by Rhonda Peoples-Waters and Curtis Fallgatter. So lots of testimony concerning this forensic accounting of old tax returns today. And what it seemed like they were pointing to is saying that Corrine Brown would report less income than she had and then report more contributed to charities than she gave. Does that prove tax fraud or these tax fraud charges?
It could if, of course, those allegations are accurate and if they can show that she really made more money than she reported and it wasn't, say, a loan or a gift, which, of course, is not taxable. Similarly, on the donations, they have to prove that the donation allegation or claim, rather, was not correct. And who's going to prove that? You know, these go several years back. Are the records there? Are there witnesses that can say that that's not a correct donation amount? It's not a civil case. They've got to prove actual criminal knowledge and intent to defraud.
Rhonda, that's one of the things you just brought up as we're getting ready to talk about this, that proof is not really happening, in your opinion, so far.
Absolutely. I believe what the government has definitely shown is horrible bookkeeping and accounting procedures. I mean, certainly we're all troubled that there aren't some receipts about that, but the issue is, does that rise to the level of fraud and intent to defraud the government? And that's where the government is going to have to make sure that they back up not only the fact that she doesn't have these receipts, they've got to now say that she did not make such donations. And that is where they have to call witnesses from Bethel Baptist or whoever these organizations are.
Yeah, and we know that people from those, leadership from those organizations are on the witness list but haven't been called so far. Is that a hole in the case, Rhonda, if that testimony doesn't happen?
It's certainly a hole in the case. It affects the government's credibility to these jurors because they've alleged these incidents in their indictment. In their indictment, they talk about CRC, the donations to the organization that Reggie Gaffney is connected to. So for the government to not call Reggie Gaffney and say, well, we allege this in our indictment and you received these donations from Corrine, then that means that they've bolstered something but not given the proof that the jurors needs.
All right, so Curtis, you come in here because we want to point out the city councilman Gaffney runs Community Rehabilitation Center, CRC, and so you're representing him. You said he doesn't need representation because the truth is the truth. What is that truth in terms of these donations and whether or not they're accurate?
He's explained to the government, you know, there's an annual donation letter that's authored by his organization, usually someone in human resources, and there's tons of witnesses that observed Corrine Brown donate household goods,
sure,
furniture, clothing, all types of things such as that. So
those are in-kind donations?
In-kind, yeah, they're in-kind. Okay. And there's no doubt that all the folks at CRC are satisfied that the donations were accurate. The indictment says otherwise, but there's no fact witnesses that'll back that up. So that is a hole in the government's case.
All right, so let's wind it up here. I'm running out of time. So, Rhonda, let me ask you. Ronnie Simmons hasn't appeared today. Isn't he the key witness here? And what does he have to say when he's in there? Does he have to say Corrine Brown was an active, willing participant in a conspiracy or the co-conspirator with Simmons?
He does. He definitely has to say that she was in an agreement to commit these actions and the fraud. And the instruction even talks about if she is a minor participant, that is enough. So I think he'll have to certainly acknowledge that he was a greater participant and in more control.
All right, Rhonda Peoples-Waters, Curtis Fallgatter, thank you so much. Appreciate your time. Joy, we'll send it back to you downtown at the Federal Courthouse.